Mom's funeral was 3 days ago. I'm still wearing the black dress. There are casserole dishes on the kitchen counter that nobody's touched, and the house smells like flowers mixed with something I can't identify. My brother Kenneth walks into the living room while I'm holding the folder. Mom's paperwork, her will, the things she left us to handle. He looks at me like he's seeing me for the first time since the funeral ended. "Hey," he says quietly. "We need to talk about this stuff." Before I can answer, he steps in front of me. Not physically blocking me, but close enough that it feels that way. His voice gets softer, almost protective. "You've been through so much. I know how overwhelmed you are right now. Let me handle the estate. Let me handle everything." Open my mouth. He keeps talking. "Seriously. You need to rest. Grieve. Don't stress about the finances." He reaches for the folder in my hands. My aunt walks by and nods at him like he's a hero. My uncle pretends not to see my face. Another cousin gives him a sympathetic smile. No one asks me if I agree. No one asks if I want help or if I want to take charge. They just watch him take the folder from my hands while I'm still standing there, still processing, still shocked. That's the moment I realize something. The room didn't choose truth, chose ease. It chose the path of least resistance. And I understand in that moment that my silence will be mistaken for surrender, that my shock will be confused with weakness, that everyone in this room is so desperate for someone to take control that they'll believe any story he tells them about me. The days blur together. I stop sleeping properly. I wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about the funeral, about how fast everything changed, about how Kenneth is suddenly in charge of everything that mattered to our mother. I hear the family repeating his words like scripture. "She needs time. He's just trying to help. She's in no state to make decisions right now." I never said any of this. He did. He planted these words like seeds, and now everyone is sprouting them back to me like they discovered the truth themselves. But when you're grieving, people believe what they want to believe. And it's easier to believe he's protecting me than to wonder if something darker is happening. Every time I try to ask about the accounts or the house or Mom's jewelry, someone interrupts. "Not now, honey. You need to focus on healing. Give yourself time. Don't rush into anything." I stop correcting them. Instead, I start listening, really listening. I notice when Kenneth tells the story about Mom's final wishes to Aunt Iris. He emphasizes how she wanted him to take care of things. But when he tells Uncle Harry the same story, he adds that she was worried about me being too emotional to handle it. When he mentions it to my younger cousin, he frames it as Mom's dying request to protect me from stress. Same story, different villain depending on the audience. He's building a case against me without saying anything directly damaging. Grief becomes his shield. Every decision he makes gets protected by sympathy. Every question I ask gets interpreted as stress. I stop asking. I start watching instead. I listen to which relatives repeat his words word for word, and which ones add their own doubts. I notice which phone calls stop including me. I notice when the group chat changes from including both of us to just him sending updates. His armor is made of other people's compassion. An armor makes noise when you move. The more he moves, the more confident he becomes, and the louder his lies get. I'm learning to hear it. I'm learning to count the inconsistencies. It's a small family dinner. Everyone's picking at the casserole that nobody brought, and Kenneth is telling the story about the will. He's telling it like he's been rehearsing it. How we reviewed it together the week before Mom died. He gets the date wrong. Says it was a Tuesday. I know it was a Friday because I remember the sunset through Mom's hospital room window. I remember exactly what Mom was wearing. Pale blue nightgown. She was sitting up for the first time in days. No one else catches the discrepancy. But I do. I watch his face while he's talking. When he finishes, he glances at me to see if I'll correct him. I just tilt my head and stay quiet. His confidence stumbles for half a second. A tiny crack appears in his composure. Then he keeps going, moving on to the next part of the story before anyone can question the first part. That night I check my phone messages. There's a text chain from that week. I scroll back carefully, noting dates and times. Friday. Definitely Friday. The meeting he described didn't happen on Tuesday. It didn't happen that week at all. We talked about the will 2 weeks before Mom died, and it was over lunch at a coffee shop, not in the evening like he claimed. We talked about it because Mom wanted to make sure we both understood what she was leaving. The realization doesn't feel like rage. Feels like clarity, like fog lifting. If he's comfortable lying about something this small, something no one would even care about, something so easy to verify, it means he's practiced. He's confident. He's left a trail. Other lies must be hiding in the details I haven't checked yet. Bigger lies. More important ones. I don't confront him. I save the evidence instead. I screenshot the messages. I write down what he said and when he said it. I create a document on my phone. Hidden in a folder. Wait. Patience becomes my weapon. The story about me spreads like it's fact. I'm described as distant during Mom's final months. I'm overwhelmed. I'm unreliable. I'm someone who can't handle stress. None of it is said to my face. It travels through phone calls and group chats I'm no longer included in. My cousin mentioned something about me being too emotional to handle the estate, and I know Kenneth said that because I've heard him use those exact words before. I learn about myself through other people's conversations. They approach me carefully now, like I might break if they look at me wrong. No one asks for my input on anything. No one includes me in decisions about the house or Mom's things. I'm being erased while I'm still standing in the room. Slow. Subtle. But it's happening. I start keeping a detailed timeline. Not to prove my innocence, but to track the momentum. Who said what? When they said it. Who they said it to. The pattern emerges quickly, and it's devastating. Every major decision benefits Kenneth. Every single one. Every justification traces back to my supposed fragility. He's not just excluding me. He's repositioning himself as the only stable center left. He's the only one who loved Mom enough to handle this. He's the only one strong enough to survive her death without falling apart. The family believes him because they're tired. Tired people accept simple narratives. They accept them without asking questions. They accept them because questioning takes effort, and effort is something nobody has right now. But I'm watching. I'm counting. I'm documenting. I stop reaching out. I stop asking for updates. I answer in one-word responses when Kenneth calls. Okay. Sure. I understand. I'm not trying to punish him. I'm just surviving. But something happens that I didn't expect. My silence unsettles him. He starts checking in more often. How are you feeling? Do you want to talk about anything? He asks leading questions, waiting for emotional reactions that never come. He's searching for something to work with. When I respond calmly, he fills the silence himself. He over-explains decisions he already explained. He contradicts details he'd already shared. He brings up the same stories twice in one conversation. I start to see the pressure he's under. Not from me, but from the lie he's maintaining. The weight of it is showing. His hands shake slightly when he talks about the financial decisions. He laughs nervously when someone asks a normal question about the estate. He's falling apart, and he's falling apart because the lie is heavier than he expected it to be. Silence becomes a mirror. The more composed I am, the louder his need to control the story becomes. The quieter I am, the more he needs to fill that space with explanations and justifications. He starts documenting conversations in writing, for clarity. He sends long emails recapping phone calls that lasted 2 minutes. He creates a group chat to share updates, but carefully frames every message so that he's the hero and I'm the person who couldn't handle it. I let him do it. Every message is another timestamp. Every email is another piece of evidence. Every documented conversation is another thread. He doesn't realize he's weaving into the case against himself. He thinks he's protecting himself. He's actually building my evidence. Folder goes missing. It contains copies of some of Mom's medical bills and bank statements. The kind of thing that should be easy to replace, except Kenneth says he can't find the original documents either. He says it's a simple mistake. He must have misplaced it during the chaos. But the explanation changes depending on who asks about it. To Aunt Iris he says, "I left it at the lawyer's office. They're sending it back." To Uncle Harry he says, "I'm not sure where it went. Everything's still organized though, don't worry." To me he says quietly, "I don't think we ever had it in the first place. I might have dreamed we did. I'm told not to worry about it." I nod and agree. I don't argue or question. I just smile and say okay. But I already photographed the contents 3 weeks ago, when no one was paying attention to me. I was sitting in the living room one afternoon, and everybody was in the kitchen talking. I took pictures of every single page with my phone. I saved them to the cloud. Now I compare the photos to the version Kenneth is claiming about what was in the folder. Something has been altered. Not enough to raise immediate alarms, but enough to show intent. Date changed slightly. A name spelled differently. Count numbers modified by 1 digit. Small things, but intentional things. The kind of changes that take time and effort to make. I don't accuse him. I don't even hint that I know. I ask one neutral question at a family dinner. "Do you remember what medical bills were in that folder?" I want to make sure we didn't miss anything for tax purposes. The discomfort on his face answers for him. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Mine doesn't change at all. I'm learning to hide what I'm thinking. I'm learning to wear a mask of grief that actually looks like acceptance. The family starts to fracture, but not loudly. It happens in subtle ways. Some relatives pull back from me without explanation. Others grow quieter around Kenneth. The shift is invisible to him, but I'm watching everything. I'm a ghost in my own life, invisible and observant. I notice who asks me questions directly and who only goes through Kenneth. I notice who still checks in with me privately. Quick texts. "How are you really doing?" I notice who stopped inviting me to things. I notice the phone calls that used to include me now happen when I'm not around. I notice that when I enter a room, conversations change. People get quieter. They're more careful. I don't recruit allies. I don't call anyone and say, "Kenneth is lying." I don't try to convince anyone of anything. I just let people reveal themselves at their own pace. Truth doesn't need urgency, it needs room to breathe. Needs space to grow. Kenneth assumes loyalty where there is only silence. That's his mistake. He believes the absence of confrontation means agreement. He thinks people are quiet because they support him. He thinks my lack of protest means I've accepted the narrative he's built. He's so focused on his own story that he doesn't notice mine. So he starts moving faster. He makes bolder claims about Mom's wishes. He starts saying things like, "Mom didn't want the house to go to someone too emotional to handle it." He's not being subtle anymore because he thinks he's already won. He thinks victory is secure. He thinks I'm broken. Speed creates errors. Every time he moves faster, he leaves another mistake behind. Another contradiction. Another lie that doesn't quite fit with the lie he told last time. Keep counting them. Keep saving them. I keep building my case while he's busy celebrating his victory. He pulls me aside one afternoon. We're alone in the kitchen. He lowers his voice like what he's about to say is secret and important. Like we're conspirators. "I think you should focus on healing," he says. "Let me handle the rest of this. It's what's best for the family. It's what Mom would have wanted." The concern in his voice is rehearsed. I can hear the script underneath it. He's used this speech before. Maybe on himself. Maybe practicing in the mirror. But there's a threat underneath the script. If I don't stay quiet and agree, I'm the problem. I'm the one hurting the family. I'm the one making this harder than it needs to be. "I trust you," I tell him. The relief on his face is immediate. Too immediate. Too visible. He thinks he's won. He thinks I've finally accepted my role as the grieving, fragile sister who needs to be protected from reality. He thinks I'm going to fade into the background and let him rewrite everything. He pats my shoulder and walks away. In that moment, I realize something important. He's no longer checking if I'm paying attention. He's stopped trying to convince me of anything. He assumes I've completely checked out. That assumption is going to become my advantage. He's going to stop being careful around me because he thinks I'm not watching anymore. He's going to relax. He's going to get sloppy. He's going to be absolutely wrong about everything. I line everything up. Messages, statements, contradictions. What he told different people. What he said would happen versus what actually happened. A pattern emerges so clearly that I almost can't believe I didn't see it immediately. But I did see it, I just didn't want to believe it. Every single decision that excludes me benefits him. Financially, legally, emotionally. Every justification traces back to my supposed fragility. He's built an entire narrative where my silence equals consent, where my grief equals inability, where my absence from decisions is actually protection instead of exclusion. I could tear it down right now. I have the evidence, have the timeline, I have the proof. But I let it stand because tearing it down too early would only harden his defenses. Right now he's comfortable. He thinks he's safe. He's not protecting himself against anything because he doesn't think he needs to. Instead, I wait for the moment when the family needs certainty more than comfort. That moment always comes. It just doesn't announce itself. It sneaks up quietly. It arrives when people have stopped expecting drama and are ready for truth. That's when I'll be ready. Time passes. 2 months. 3. The funeral feels like it happened years ago. Grief's grip on the room loosens. Conversations shift from "how are you coping?" to "what's the timeline on the house?" Practical questions surface. Real concerns about money and logistics and what happens next. The family is moving forward whether they want to or not. Kenneth isn't prepared for that transition. He keeps using the same emotional language he relied on before. Every time someone asks a practical question, he responds with something about protecting my feelings or giving me space to grieve. But the family has already grieved. They're ready for answers now. They're ready for facts. I answer questions when people ask me directly. I'm brief. I'm factual. I show no emotion. I don't cry. I don't hesitate. I just say what happened and move on to the next thing. I'm becoming someone solid. Someone reliable. The contrast becomes visible. He sounds defensive. Sounds steady. No one comments on it yet, but the air in the room changes. The way people listen changes. The way they look at him changes. Something is shifting. And he can feel it, even if he doesn't understand it yet. He makes a claim he can't support. It's said casually, like it's obvious, like everyone already knows this. He's in front of Aunt Iris and Uncle Harry when he says it. He says Mom told him specifically that she wanted him to handle the house sale, and that she was worried about me being involved in financial decisions. Feel the room pause. Time seems to stop for a half second. I don't correct him. I let someone else ask for proof. Uncle Harry says, "Really? She told you that specifically?" His tone is curious, but there's something else underneath it. Something that sounds like doubt. Something that sounds like he's questioning the story. Kenneth laughs it off. Says he'll find an email or something, promises to follow up. He never does. Days pass. No email appears. No proof shows up. Just empty promises and vague references to conversations that might have happened. The seed of doubt is planted. And this time I didn't even have to speak. I just let the silence do it for me. I just let him hang himself with his own words. A relative approaches me privately. It's my cousin Emma. She seems hesitant, apologetic. She asks if something Kenneth said was accurate. She wants to know the truth, and she's asking me because she's not sure who to believe anymore. She's tired of the uncertainty. I show her one document. Just one. It's the photograph I took of Mom's medical bills from the folder that went missing. No commentary. No accusation. I just hand her my phone and let her read it. I let her see the evidence without me explaining it. Her expression changes. Not to anger, but to realization. Understanding. She sees the date he claimed was wrong. She sees the inconsistency. She understands what it means. He said something different, she whispers. I know, I say quietly. I don't ask her to confront him. I don't ask her to tell anyone. I don't recruit her to my side. I just thank her for asking me directly. That's all. That's everything I need. Truth doesn't need persuasion. Just needs witnesses. It just needs someone else to see it and understand that I wasn't crazy all along. Contradictions start surfacing in group settings. Someone mentions something Kenneth said last month, and it doesn't match what he's saying today. Another person asks a follow-up question, and his answer is different from what he told someone else. The cracks are spreading. He grows sharper, more impatient. He interrupts more than he used to. He explains things that don't need explaining. He gets defensive over simple questions. Every attempt to regain control exposes how much control he's actually losing. He's panicking, and panic makes you sloppy. Panic makes you desperate. Panic makes you sound guilty. I remain consistent. Predictable. The same facts. The same timeline. The same truth. Over and over again. I'm like a recording that never changes. People start coming to me for confirmation instead of going through him. They're fact-checking his stories by asking me. They don't say this directly, but that's what's happening. They're tired of the confusion. They're tired of not knowing what's true. He notices. His tone with me changes. He's less protective now. More strained. The gentleness is gone. There's an edge to his voice that wasn't there before. He's starting to realize that my silence wasn't agreement. My silence was strategy. My quiet was a weapon. He tries one last time to frame me as unstable. But this time he's more indirect about it. He suggests to Aunt Iris that I might need professional help. That grief is affecting my perception of events. That I seem confused about timelines and details. That he's worried about my mental state. It doesn't land. The timing is wrong. The evidence doesn't match up. Someone, I think it's Uncle Harry, asks him why this is the first they're hearing about my supposed confusion. If it's been happening all along, why didn't he mention it before? Why the delay? He doesn't have an answer that fits. He stammers. He tries to explain. He says he was trying to be respectful. He says he didn't want to add to the family drama. But there's no good explanation because it's not true. The silence that follows isn't mine. It's the room's. And that silence is the sound of disbelief. I'm asked to clarify a sequence of events. Someone wants to understand exactly when certain decisions were made and what information was available at each point. They're tired of the confusion. They need clarity. I get asked in front of the whole family. I lay out dates, messages. No emotion. No interpretation. Just perfect chronological order. Monday this happened. Tuesday that happened. Wednesday the other thing happened. Here's the proof. Here's the timeline. Here's how it all connects. His version can't survive next to it. The two stories don't fit together. The pieces don't match. He tries to interrupt, tries to add context or explanation. But there's no context that makes his version make sense. Someone asks him to let me finish. That's the shift. That's the moment everything changes. That's when he realizes he's lost control of the narrative. I don't feel victorious. Feel steady. Feel like myself again. Others begin filling in gaps. Small confirmations. Shared doubts they'd kept quiet about. My cousin mentions a conversation from months ago that contradicts something Kenneth said. My aunt remembers a detail he left out. My uncle shares an email he received that tells a different story. It's like a puzzle coming together. The narrative corrects itself without my direction. I'm barely speaking. The family is doing the work of uncovering the truth themselves. They're comparing notes. They're connecting dots. They're asking questions they should have asked months ago. The momentum is building and I'm just watching it happen. My brother listens, frozen, realizing he's no longer steering the story. His authority dissolves not with a confrontation, but with accumulation. One contradiction becomes 5 contradictions, becomes an undeniable pattern. He can't explain it away anymore. He can't reframe it. He can't turn it into something else. Just is. Truth just is. He finally breaks. He raises his voice in front of everyone. Accuses me of planning this. Says I waited and collected evidence and orchestrated some kind of revenge. That I was never really grieving, I was scheming. That I've been playing the victim the whole time. He's right, of course. But he's also doing the worst thing he could possibly do. His outburst confirms everything people have started to suspect. It shows that he's panicking. That he has something to hide. That he's not the victim here. That he's the one who did something wrong. The room absorbs it. They see him fall apart. They see his anger where there should be remorse. They see his defensiveness where there should be accountability. They see everything they need to see. I don't respond immediately. I let the room stay quiet. I let his words hang in the air. When I finally do speak, it's brief. I state what I know, what I have, what I never said until now. I don't accuse intent. I don't say you're a liar or you plan to exclude me. I just describe outcomes. I say, every decision made without my input benefited you financially. Every story about my fragility came from you, not from me. Every timeline you gave was different depending on who you were talking to. The difference matters. I'm not attacking his character. I'm describing facts. People listen differently when you describe facts. They listen like the truth is finally being told. They listen like they've been waiting for this moment. He apologizes the next day. But it's to the room, not to me. Vague. Defensive. He says things like I was trying to help and I got overwhelmed and I didn't mean to exclude anyone. Too late. Sympathy doesn't return this time. The moment for an apology has passed. Accountability is expected now. And his apology isn't offering that. It's offering excuses instead. It's offering explanations instead of taking responsibility. He doesn't know how to own what he did. And the family sees that. They see that he still doesn't understand how serious this is. Responsibilities quietly shift away from him. No announcement. No public punishment. Just adjustment. The family recalibrates. They ask me about decisions instead of him. They copy me on emails. They include me in conversations. They treat me like I matter. He feels it. I can see it on his face. He's no longer the center. His authority is gone. The protection he built with lies is crumbling, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. He's diminished. He's smaller. I don't celebrate it. I just accept my place again like it's normal. Like it was always supposed to be this way. He confronts me alone. We're in the house he was supposed to manage, the house that's now being handled by both of us equally. His voice is quiet, desperate, almost broken. Why didn't you stop me earlier, he asks. I did stop you, I tell him. But I did it by being quiet, by paying attention, by not letting you believe your own story. He looks at me like he doesn't understand. Like he's trying to solve an equation that doesn't have a solution. You never asked if I agreed with anything, I continue. You just assumed my silence meant I was broken. You never checked. You never asked. You just told the family what you wanted them to believe. He has no answer. There is no answer. And that's when he finally understands what he did. I'm asked back into decisions. Not as a favor. As a correction. As a return to the way things should have been from the beginning. I accept without comment. I don't say, I told you so. I don't gloat. I don't rub it in. I just take my place again. The balance restores itself. The house gets managed fairly. The estate gets settled properly. Things move forward without drama. Life goes back to normal, except it's not the same normal. It's a better normal. It's a normal where I have a voice again. The full record is shared. Only. Completely. No theatrics. Just facts. Timeline. The documents. The photographs. Everything I gathered. It's presented without emotion. And that's what makes it so powerful. The facts stand on their own. They don't need my anger or my pain or my tears. They just are. They exist. They're undeniable. His role is undeniable now. What he did is undeniable. Why he did it is undeniable. The evidence is clear. He isn't expelled from the family. He's not punished or shamed or cut off. He's diminished. Trust doesn't vanish, it relocates. He's still there, but he's smaller now. Quieter. He comes to family events, but nobody relies on him. Nobody asks his opinion. Nobody treats him like he matters in the same way. The loss is internal. It's permanent. But it's private. It's not something the family talks about. It's just something that is. He has to live with knowing what he tried to do. He has to live with knowing that he almost got away with it. I don't feel triumphant. I don't feel like I won something or defeated someone. Feel free. That's the only word for it. Free. Silence didn't protect him. Protected me. It gave me space to think while he was panicking. It gave me time to gather truth while he was building lies. My quiet wasn't weakness, it was strategy. It was power. And when I finally spoke, it wasn't to destroy him. It was to reclaim myself. It was to step back into my own life, my own decisions, my own story. It was to say, I was here the whole time. I was watching. I was remembering. I was waiting. Grief tried to erase me. Loss tried to make me invisible. But I refused. I stayed present. I stayed aware. And I let the truth do what truth always does. It came out. Surfaced. It revealed itself. Silence is the most powerful thing a person can do when everyone expects you to break. It's the strongest resistance. It's the deepest form of survival. The room didn't choose me at first. But in the end the truth did. And that was enough. That will always be enough.